Like, that round was going Peps' unfavor, as we're going to be having a look to see that it's Hell's Heaven that actually spins into the mix up first. A map that Peps are very familiar with playing.
Yep, Team Peps managed to take this one yesterday, going up against Yoinkanda. That was actually one of Yoinkanda's most strong maps, at least for Snaze and Etsu, who I believe managed to take it away from Virtus Pro previously in the Marvel Rivals Invitational. Don't quote me. That's not reality. I may have made it up. My sources that I dreamt it. However, Magneto making it through the ban phase here is a little bit of a rarity. Team Peps are going to be able to play Magneto in their own right. Question is, are they going to save the EMEA? Indeed, they are. So it's going to be Magneto versus EMEA.
Yeah, but that Magneto is going to be able to put way more pressure onto both a Punisher potential pick and a Cloak and Dagger pick coming on through from Insomnia's end. And you better believe that with Peps on the attacker side, they're going to start working through these strategists to force Insomnia onto that Cloak and Dagger. Oh, no, they target the Wolverine.
I love the Punisher ban.
First.
I feel like not enough teams have been banning Punisher when Punisher has been like the bread and butter for so many teams. Like, if you don't want to deal with Hardest getting like Giga Ults for Judge Droid, the Executioner, the Final Judgment, yeah, we'll just not allow you to do that. And they'll have their own Punisher. It's going to be a bit of a Punisher differential, which admittedly, against the Magneto, does carry some significant risk.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a coin flip there coming on through. It's very much a reaction check between those two players. Can the Punisher manage to overload the Meteor M before the Meteor M gets thrown directly into the Punisher's face, as Team Peps have removed both the Luna and the Wolverine, and now they're going to take that Loki out of the mix too, trying to force Insomnia onto that Cloak and Dagger mirror matchup, as Peps are going to utilize that last save slot to guarantee that they have the God of Mischief themselves. And Insomnia, ooh, it's target banning. They target ban both Hardest and they take out the Captain America from Beetle's end too.
Yeah, Beetle definitely seemed at their best on the Captain America. No slouch on the Groot, it's true, but I feel like Beetle's impact on the Groot was fairly lessened compared to the absolute bits bro was doing on the Captain America. Let's head out here. Hardest coming through on the Winter Soldier. This was actually a fairly common look we saw from Team Peps back in the Marvel Rivals Invitational, when Marvel Rivals Esports was essentially who has the better Winter Soldier. Congratulations, you win.
Yeah, who has the better Winter Soldier or who has the better Loki?
Yeah.
And who actually makes sure that they maneuver the doppelgangers out of the reach of the Kraken impact resets. And even then, it did essentially come down to who had the better Winter Soldier and Rocket Raccoon play up with the Infinite Ammo team up, which has since been removed. One of the team ups that has since been added, however, is Rocket and Penny. And no surprises, it is going to be those nests coming out of spawn for both of these teams so they can start to armor on up.
Yeah, the Penny armor that gets spat out of the additional nest actually gives 50 over health, which is a considerable bit of extra chunk for these first fights to make sure that you're not easily picked off first. As we head on through Team Peps, they're going to be trying to take the high ground to set up Aura Stealer and his doppelgangers.
Larry is going to be on that Cloak and Dagger. Insomnia, but from the Loki, do have Sue at least. So Relaxing Knight can try and utilize the Force Physics to deny Leaf on the Wolverine. However, DRP on that Magneto can give the Bulwark over to the Wolverine. And look, finds the first pick actually with the Terror Cape, but there's the Wolf Grab that we were looking for directly into the waiting arms of the Regeneration Domain.
Actually, interesting that Damon managed to hit the soul-draining stun onto where they were going to land with Passimo to shut down that Wolverine from his Berserk state as well. Great heads-up play from Damon.
Yeah, and now that Insomnia have won this first fight, this Heller is going to be a lot harder for Team Peps to get on top of. Both Hardest and Leaf need to be in the close and personal, and Insomnia aren't even playing the Heller on an isolated angle. They understand if they do, she's a little bit too vulnerable to that pressure coming out. Team Peps going to go to the point rather than forcing that high ground fight, forcing Insomnia to drop off and contest instead.
Suppressing fire, lane on down. Pasiwo definitely needs a little bit of help when it comes to the form of the invisible boundary. Aura Stealer matching it here after having used the God of Mischief to grab that one from Larry. On the top though, Nocta feeling unbothered in his lane. Got an Aegis in front of him, a Guardian Shield as well. It's full resources pushed into Damon as ascending to the sky goes the Hela. Just doing their best not to feed up that Meteor M from the Magneto, and DRP doesn't get to convert onto it right here. Damon shuts down Hardest midway through the ultimate. Oh, the focus there after the impact was so strong. One player gets caught within the strangling prisoners, relaxing Knight, so a huge amount of healing is going to be off the table. Stunned up yet again. The Soul Drain is getting so much value right now from the side of Damon, and Insomnia, while they are able to stall this one out for a second longer, surely they'll eventually be overwhelmed. An overhanded smash from Beetle caves in the skull of Forever.
Yeah, wonderful regeneration domain comes on through from Aura Stealer directly through that psionic seduction of Forever 774, so that Beetle will be able to survive on that group, sustain the Emma ultimate, and then swing back in when Peps can answer back with damages of their own. Pasiwo is going to have the Living Legend on this Captain America, but Insomnia denied the control of that point. Might potentially have to use it to live. Final stand coming on through, but no. Leaf grabs the Captain America out of his team, so that AoE heal effect is denied entirely.
Big value there from Leaf. Still hunting for these Vanguards. Percentage-based damage can be everything. Wrapping around behind the Punisher makes him turn around so that Hardest can stick him full of piercing knives and blow him up after that. Damon still untouched up on the high ground. For now is able to rain down these Night Sword Thorns with impunity, but unfortunately they're going to be watching most of their team fall from their perch.
Yeah, Aura Stealer had the God of Mischief out on the field and had copied the Eternal Bond, covering that point in its entirety, so Demon had absolutely no pick potential coming on through. 52% Team Peps through the halfway marker. Beetle onto the Strange now to be able to dodge through the gauntlet of Insomnia's off-angle controls and join back with his team. Where's Leaf though? Where's this Wolverine? Nocta is trying to figure that out right now.
All right, lacking information. This could be huge for the approach. Pasiwo already taken down, and we can see the strong Crow there after doing some damage. Relaxing Knights as well. If it's already fallen apart from Insomnia, they've got to call it, and they're going to have to be on a nasty timeline to try and get back to that point.
Do they even manage to not get staggered? Demon is going to fall. It's final fight territory. Insomnia lose Nocta very late on too, so this Punisher with the final judgment isn't going to be set up to try and go for a high ground contest. In fact, they don't have enough time. It has to be a Strange portal to take the high ground away potentially. Instead, as they spotted out Beetle isolated away from the rest of his team.
Oh, the timing's just right though to get rid of that bridge, so everyone else can have to drop down onto the ground. Disengagement can't be managed. However, DRP gets isolated. The Meteor M not enough. The fear of Magneto is not struck into the hearts of Insomnia. They've seen the sleep paralysis demons from years away, and the last stand. Oh, Leaf is making sure that a brand new sleep paralysis demon just watched. Wake up, babe. Man-made horrors beyond our comprehension are here. Damon looking to the sky, as that's where the other Hela lurks, channeling the goddess of death, raining down the strong crows from above. The mortar strikes are too much for Insomnia to try and deal with, as the point is flipped back in the favor of Team Peps, and it's going to be down to these Vanguards to try and get this touch going. It's going to be difficult for Pasiwo to try and make it happen. Nothing comes off the back of the Eye of Agamotto. Insomnia, they managed to turn this one around. Team Peps, they went too soon, they went too fast, they lost Hardest, and now the Invisible Woman stands against the bulwark. She is the wall, but she has broken down the brickwork. The masonry reduced to dust in the hands of Team Peps, and Insomnia, what an upset.
A moment of miscoordination comes through from Peps. Like you said, they just go in when some of the team aren't ready to follow up off of the back of it, and Insomnia instantly wrestle control, not just of the point, but of the tempo in its entirety. And Forever 774 is still going to have the Eye of Agamotto. Didn't even need to utilize it to dismantle the God of Mischief coming on through from Aura Stealer. In fact, what do Peps have to work with in this first fight? The answer is naught. It's going to be a Wolverine grab, a magic pick potentially coming on through from Hardest on this Hela off of the back of a Terror Cape vulnerability set up from Larry, but it's going to be so much harder for Peps to be able to find that opening in comparison to Insomnia. If Peps try and group up and play around that Hela, it's going to be Eye of Agamotto, and in fact, Hardest understands it's going to be too hard to make the Hela work. Out comes the Winter Soldier instead. We're going to be looking to use Bionic Hook and potentially grab Forever out of his own ultimate.
Yeah, an extra stun to try and compete with here for Forever. is going to complicate matters. Beetle, oh, they're scouting out where Forever's going to be playing. If you can maybe try and kidnap that Doctor Strange super early after this, Damon ends up just backpacking through the portal, and thereafter things get a lot more complicated. Lurkin has actually committed themselves to this one. Beetle just goes back in for a quick heal, and it seems like Team Peps are just going to, yeah, we'll call this fight. We got what we wanted. We got a little bit of intimidation, some psyops done. Insomnia should be able to walk over the first cap, though.
Yeah, they will have that first cap immediately, and Forever 774 now is going to be in a much harder to reach position, but then again, Peps know that the Strange sooner rather than later is going to be walking into them. Hardest is the POV that we're going to be following currently, the Bionic Hook, looking for a connection, waiting for that Strange shield to drop before he can try and grab the Strange end.
Oh, that's a crazy terror cape right there. Already out comes the final judgment. Oh, the focus fire is good though. Nocta could not convert upon it, and while the Meteorum's already been used, oh, we've been pushed back. Excellent play from the Invisible Woman, making sure that Eye of Agamotto connected, but the follow-up wasn't there. They'd already lost Nocta, and the remainder of the damage from Insomnia was not enough to try and carve through what the strategists were packing for Team Peps.
Yeah, the follow terror cape from Lurkin was just a little bit behind, and the force physics coming on through as well made it even harder for them to hold that position. Peps now going to have to try and figure out how to get this last stand into the players of Insomnia's end, potentially utilizing it to dismantle Lurkin's momentum with this Eternal Bond. Aura Stealer has the God of Mischief, can look for a copy pass, so we're looking for an opening, doesn't have a Psylocke to dive off of the back of, so no backline hit, is just trying to put the pressure onto the Vanguard, but that means that he's a little bit too far forward, and Leaf commits, and the Eye of Agamotto, everyone was looking at the Wolverine. The Doctor Strange may as well be in stealth mode right now.
Gaze under the shell of the Beetle at your peril, for inside lie horrors of cosmic proportions that will rend your very soul from your flesh. What a play from Beetle.
Leaf still is holding on to this last stand as well, just utilizing the threat of it to keep Insomnia having to position around it in mind. Demon off of the Hela is going to go for the Star-Lord, heralding a swap over. Nocta actually picking on up another strategist. The Adam Warlock is coming into the mix, a little bit of additional poke, a little bit of pressure as that Wolverine tries to set on off.
More sustainability for Damon. Cracking impact on the back pocket if it is needed, maybe to try and shut down Passiwo after what's already happened. Now comes the Eternal Bond. Lots of staying power delivered readily by Larry, and you can see that the army of Loki clones are just pumping out the healing right now. Big seduction coming through, but most of it, oh my goodness, looked away from Leaf for about a moment, and Leaf took his shards, trying to keep everyone outside of that invisible boundary, and Lurker was taken down before he could go too far. Continually slowed as they move in and out of the Invisible Woman. Ultimate means there's no escape for the Wolverine after the assassination into the backline.
Yeah, but Insomnia swapping over to those triple strategists have the longer term sustainability if these fight goes a little bit longer than Team Peps have the burst damage to compete with. It allows Insomnia to find that point flip. Now having both the Star-Lord and the Captain America, they're going to be incredibly hard to offset off of this point. Team Peps, once again, not going to have an opportunity to contest the high ground, go directly to the point to open up with a premature God of Mischief, which means that Demon flying a little bit too low is going to get scooped up by the Wolverine instead.
Instantly gets resurrected, not having to burn their own cocoon revival there from the team. Forever's also going to be returning through this. You can see the extra health given over by Captain America Ultimate as well. Team Peps still not in control. Damon got instantly stunned out of a Galactic Legend. I'm not sure who's going to be responsible for it. Certainly wasn't Beetle. We got nothing off of their Eye of Agamotto this time. The Guardian Shield was just in the right place at the right time. Passiwo in the background, stealing auras and reclaiming them for the glory of America, it would seem. Insomnia just have the tide coming in right now, and Team Peps, they cannot stand up against this bastion of damage. They've been caught sleeping, but Insomnia, they stay woke, they stay up, and they do not rest. It's going to be one last contest coming through from Beetle at the last moment. Nowhere near close to any ultimates right now. Great resets coming through from Pardis. It could be the one and only, the DPS that was promised, fading away at just the right time. It's a beautiful play coming through from Lurkin. Forever, do you want to try and invest right here? You don't have the HP to make it work. Stuck between a portal and a hard place. Team Peps are going to have to come back with their own portal, or rather Insomnia.
Yeah, it's going to be relaxing nights, trying to find the opening with that strange portal. It's going to be setting it up, but can they manage to get through? The body block is good from Peps. One manages to make it. Out comes Eternal eternal bond from Lurkin. Insomnia have staying power and might be able to win this fight.
Oh, that's a big seduction. 3 players seduced, and the damage is good, at least from the eternal bond, carving through 1 already. A quick cloak away coming through from Larry. The Terror Cape gets 4. Unreal value, but the Galactic Legend is going to be the last note in this song. But will it be a victory crescendo or a sad E minor chord added to this emo ballad? And the emos are going to win out this time as Insomnia finally fall asleep as Team Peps take us to a map number 3.
You mentioned earlier about the performances that we've seen from Peps in the Invitational, and Hardest had a reputation for playing the Winter Soldier and in overtime being able to find multiple picks with the Kraken Impact, which allowed Peps to make absolute insane comebacks into fights that they had no right being able to win. And Hardest does it yet again. This man is a miracle worker.
Bro's just got that different gene. Constructed alternatively. Insomnia. They still seem to see the value. Oh wait, never mind. Damon's going to be rolling everyone out, of course, with the bubbles here. They still want to play the Adam Warlock with the Resurrection onto Damon, allow for the Star-Lord to try and carry. But it seems that Team Peps, they have a couple of good options against that Galactic Legend with the prevalence of shields in their composition.
Yeah, I like the fact that Peps as well are going to be mirroring. Hardest is actually going to be moving over to the Star-Lord. So in anticipation of the comic Revival coming out, you're actually going to have, with the Star-Lord's mobility, much easier access to that Resurrection spot. And it's going to make it so much harder for Insomnia to be able to find the stabilization, especially if you can force that soul bond out before the Adam ultimate can come on through. It is in the pocket. Hardest is taking a lot of damage, so too is Demon, as he goes in with the barrage, but doesn't find any of the value. The Dagger Dome healing is so strong.
Fading away, Nocta isolated there with no one else to soul bond to. Oh, the Eye of Agamotto onto both the strategists in the back. Beetle got all that they needed and maybe a touch more. Nocta with a quick resurrection. The Karmic Revival brings back many, but they're out of range of getting the other strategist back. Needs to make a perilous crossing across the Rubicon to try and make it work. And yeah, reaches Relaxing Nights, but is going to pay with their own life for such audacity right now. Still Damon going to try and make good on the efforts for sacrifices made by the Golden Man, the perfect human. And while Damon is able to get 1, not much more than that. Still no first cap coming through. Forever's nearly got all that they need. And now up in the sky, Hardest managed to find once again those strategists by themselves with little means of defending themselves. They're cornered up by the Magneto as well. The Master of Magnetism has just such magnetic charisma that he draws them in.
Yeah, Peps, in terms of playing the triple res, have the Premier Vanguard pick. They've got the Magneto. Insomnia might have the Emma, but Peps have the one cooldown that enables Star-Lord, the greatest out of all heroes in the Marvel Rivals pool. The Magneto with the Bulwark. Every single time Hardest goes in, he's getting the full pocket treatment. And every single time Insomnia tried to send Damon in, it was getting bulwarked in return. And it looks like Insomnia have had enough. They know that they can't play into the mirror, and out comes the Storm, out comes the Punisher. They're going to try and burn this through with firepower instead.
Unassisted Storm, but damage boost on the Punisher is not to be underestimated. These Vanguards are in major danger right now as Aura puts down the healing bubble. Out comes the Eternal Bond, but remember, at the moment the point is moving, so that can be a little bit of a shenanigan for this territory, and it's healing prowess for now. Hardest already picked out, forced to resurrect themselves. That's going to be Lurkin, currently in danger, but the healing is good for the moment. Fades over into the cloaked form to get out of danger for just a second when it's most necessary. The final judgment from Damon is laying down the damage. Even with the Terror Cloak coming down, it seems like no final hits can be found at the moment. Damon's just going to rush on forward now with the shotgun in hand, and it's a quick tap in for healing from Hardest, but we're going back for yet another Galactic Legend dragged on in. This needs to be shut down here and now, but the damage hasn't been delivered. Leaf's already coming in with the resurrections. These low HP members, though, next to the Omega Hurricane, feel so much danger. It's an equal trade. At least got even more resurrections. Team Peps finally lose control, but they're still in this fight and they can turn it around.
They've got so many numbers. Insomnia lacking so many ultimates. Larry's got the Eternal Bond, but they're not even going to use it. It's just the Soul Bomb into the Maelstrom for Peps to have that damage reduction and try and oust Insomnia off of the point. It's not enough. Out comes the Eternal Bond. They want the flip immediately, and they find the pick onto Lurkin before Insomnia have the means of keeping Damon alive on this Punisher to utilize that final judgment. Peps find the flip, 70% on the board. We're headed to final fight. territory. And they've got the ultimates to be able to secure the round fully.
And they've also try and work with here. I want to see if Beetle gets any value out of this. It's going to be more difficult going up against a fellow Doctor Strange with that shield on demand. Password is going to start teleporting in right here. They just want to try and remove this high ground, but guess what? The point is rising up to meet. Oh, the counter portal's crazy. Damon's already been consigned to oblivion, down into a briny grave, feeding the eldritch monsters that lie below. Forever has to make a decision as to when they want to try and engage. However, whatever way they try and make it happen, out comes the Eye of Agamotto. Relaxing Knight's taken down, and that means that the invisible boundary that was placed upon the point easily dissipates. And yeah, Damon's come back after a long, shameful walk-back return, having been portal pranked. DRP shuts it down with the Meteor Realm, and you will learn to fear Magneto.
What a raid from Peps. The counter portal onto the one person that they needed removed from the fight. Punisher with Final Judgment goes out of the window, off of the map, and even then, they read the situation perfectly. They understand that the EMEA is going to have to be the one that drops off of the high ground onto the point, and only once they've been able to guarantee that that EMEA has been removed do they go in with the Eye of Agamotto, for fear that Beetle would have been grabbed out by the Carbon Crush and cancelled out of the Eye of Agamotto before it could find its connection. Then, once they're picking up all of that traction, Aura Stealer on the Loki grabs the Eternal Bond from the Cloak and Dagger, and it's just full Peps in control of the point, of the high ground, of the tempo of the fight, and they can just deal individually with Damon popping on up the lone Punisher, the last one on his team standing, to try and eke out a win on Hell's Heaven.
You know, the street's been saying, Mox, the street's been talking, and the streets have been saying that Aura Stealer might be one of the best Lokis in Europe, like alongside Ken and Co. I'm wondering if that's something that needs attention, either from us or in the ban phase, because Ken does walk away with the MVP at the end of all of this, and it felt like Ken was just a bastion of stability, rarely a whiffed ultimate, rarely picked first, and just huge output in the midst of all of this. And well, Peps, right now they're just thinking, go on, take us to Midtown. Give it a try, give it a go. Just give me the reason.
The best thing that you can do as a Loki, it's not micro, it's macro, right? You have to have the correct cooldowns available at the correct opportunities. And Aura Stealer, every single time Regeneration Domain was needed, had Regeneration Domain. Every single time. And they were placed perfectly as well, to be able to make sure that if it was in response to something like an EMEA Psionic Seduction, it was in the space that that player would be taunted into walking into. So huge props coming on through to Aura Stealer. But the big difference for me was the fact that Insomnia tried to engineer a triple res composition in a ban phase that benefited Peps if it went to the triple res mirror, because they had the Magneto.
Yeah. Allowing the Magneto through was kind of unprecedented in Europe at the moment. Magneto's always been the first ban. I wonder how Insomnia were feeling that they really didn't want to go up against the EMEA. Likely it's because Passio loves to play the camps in America, that maybe they're thinking, okay, it's a little bit easier for us to go up against Mag comparatively. Like, maybe I can reflect a Meteor Realm. It's wishful thinking. But going up against the EMEA is a lot more difficult when you can get hit with that Carbon Crush just locked in place, especially when you think like, oh, I might go up against the EMEA and the Wolverine as well. Like, that's too much for one camp, potentially. And then Passio would have to try and change their style up a little bit more. But I'd love to see, like, there's a reason that Magneto is almost always first ban. Like, he's just so consistent and so solid.
Yeah, he's probably one of the strongest vanguards, in fact, one of the strongest heroes in the entire Marvel Rivals roster currently. Bulwark being one of, if not the strongest cooldown, the only base cooldown that I would say contests Bulwark is Regeneration Domain coming through from a Loki, because that's all of the value of a Strategist Ultimate packaged and parceled in the form of a cooldown. And it's not even a huge cooldown, but speaking about cooldowns, Harry and I will be taking a little bit of one. We'll be back with map number 2 after this short break.
Peps has got a prescription for Insomnia. They're looking to put them to bed as they sit on match point after Hell's Heaven concludes. Insomnia are going to get to choose where we go next in the Marvel Universe, Moxie. And, well, they're going to need to maybe adjust how their picks and bans are working.
Yeah, and I mean, there are two maps you're immediately steering clear of. Spider Islands and Midtown. Not ever take Peps to those two maps. Any map that allows them to have a close spawn hold and play the full free fight defense strategy, yeah, you dodge that one because Peps were the ones who originally created it. We've seen evolutions, we've seen new takes on it in Season 2. There's a wonderful composition that makes Penny Parker actually viable in professional play. It does get somewhat suppressed by the attacking side immediately swapping to either a quad or quintuple duelist lineup coming on through and then bolstered either off of the back of a damage boost from a Storm Goddess boost or potentially inspiration coming on through from a Mantis. And we can see that, yeah, Insomnia did their homework. There is no sign of the Spider Islands, no place of a Midtown. It's going to be Symbiotic Surface that they take us to instead, guaranteeing that there's going to be no spawn hold strategies coming on through.
Yeah, Symbiotic Surface I think is a good map for Insomnia. Like at this point, maybe you just play for your best map rather than playing. I would have liked to have personally seen in a longer series, Insomnia pick Idrisil Path, as both Spider Islands and Midtown are convoy maps, and you'd be able to take them out of a pool and make sure the last map was a convergence. But we don't know if Team Peps has as concrete a strat book, just because we haven't seen that much tape on them just yet. And this time, yeah, of course, it's going to be the first ban on Mag. That one's not getting through this time, bro.
Yeah, that was the other adjustment that we wanted to see coming in through from Insomnia's end. So very happy that Insomnia and Peps both take out that Magneto. It is going to be Insomnia also on that attacking side, managing to protect the EMEA first before we start seeing the strategists get removed. Peps remembered the target ban that came out onto Hardest in the past round and protect that Punisher very, very quickly before Insomnia can take it out of play. The last time we did see a target ban come through onto Captain America.
Yeah.
But do they want... No, they removed the Storm instead.
Okay, so given what we saw towards the tail end of Eldritch Monument, we saw Insomnia actually bring out the Punisher Storm team up, maybe fearing what Punisher can do with the team up itself. Or not the team up, but the aura of extra damage. Punisher already got a significant damage buff heading into the season by becoming a team up anchor and getting 1 additional damage per bullet on his assault rifle. Oh, yeah, go ahead. We've seen these be some brutal bans from our team's previous. Some would say this is one of the ways that Rad managed to steal a series away from VP by having these very awkward strategist setups, by getting rid of that Cloak and Dagger, who's often the stopgap for strategists when both Loki and Luna are off the table.
Yeah, and not just that, that's going to make it way easier for Peps to just keep Hardest alive in the midst of Final Judgment. No Terror Cape that you have to worry about potentially blitzing through that health bar, as well as a strategist ultimate being laid over top to make sure that the Hardest will be able to live the entire duration of his ultimate. So having one-sided Cloak and Dagger is definitely going to be making things very awkward in terms of the backline comparisons coming in through, as Eternal Bond builds incredibly quickly. Terror Cape has immense amounts of value in being able to just find a pick immediately, or what it can also do is zone a team out. Like the anticipation that you have to have in response to that Terror Cape coming through, a lot of teams will just give up the ground so that they don't get picked in the middle of that vulnerability period.
We've seen some nasty combos of Punishers and Wolverines in this area, and of course Team Peps are going to be playing the same. Leaf loves the Wolverine. I was kind of expecting Wolverine to be the ban from Insomnia rather than the Storm in this case, but of course that's for... Oh, nice. Forever's actually putting the portal behind him here, so there's no chance of a prank portal, just making sure that it's not in the most expected place. However, there's not going to be a Doctor Strange on the other side. Are they just going to use this portal to set up the turret and just claim all this space for free?
But the Aegis comes up. It is going to be Peps actually flipping map, and Leaf finds the grab onto Forever immediately. Doesn't find the pickup at the back of it. Very good group wall comes on through, actually managing to save the Wolverine, as Forever was going low, but so too was Leaf.
Oh, Nocta taking a lot of damage here from the Punisher at range. DRP puts up the Aegis behind Forever to try and cut off all of that healing that was coming through from the strategist. There's so much to try and isolate for Doctor Strange when they go too far, but in the end, you've still got to worry about the pressure that's coming through from Damon on the Punisher. Forever goes a touch too deep in the midst of all of this, and the Ember is so worrying. You've got to try and just rush her, get rid of that Vanguard who's standing in near your little cubby hole, and well, Insomnia overwhelming on this first point. Great tech.
And Forever going that aggressive was actually erased because Lurken has the BRB station, brings the Strange back immediately.
Not wrong.
That space that Peps gave up because they had to rally together to stop the Strange, that doesn't get erased. In fact, it gets fully capitalized on as Insomnia just move in and set themselves up, seeing that free real estate, and they've set themselves up on this high ground already. Damon on the Punisher turret is getting every single shield resource in the game currently. We've got Aegis, we've got Strange Shield, we've even got Guardian Shield, and that means that this turret is absolutely tearing through Peps' health bar. Beetle having to invest a lot of those walls, and Larry even investing the Eternal Bond just to keep everyone topped up.
Yeah, Larry's going to finish that run right next to the convoy for now. Sends out the Terror Cable, but I believe actually gets blocked by their own group. Oh, out comes the Judgery and the Executioner. The final judgment could be so much damage. Look at this. They're going to be playing on the inside of Invisible Boundary. Still the damage too much to bear. Hardest gets it done, I imagine, with the help of the Terror Cape, just to have enough DPS to burn through what the Invisible Boundary was bringing to the table. Leaf still invest in the midst of all of this. Nocta can't stand up to everyone alone, and Team Peps, with their investment, get themselves some stability.
Yeah, hardest on that Punisher, just absolutely blitzing down the additional health coming on through from Nocta's Omega Hurricane. Peps now being able to stabilize themselves on this hold is going to make it much harder for Insomnia to find an in to set up this Eye of Agamotto, especially because Aura Stealer can just wait with the Force Physics to knock the Strange back and deny the ultimate from even connecting.
It's a terrible shutdown to have Behold. You didn't even get the 50% back because if you were controlled out of it. Beetle feeling isolated, puts himself back up on the air. We can assume that Forever didn't hit anything because of a well-placed Force Physics. Leaf just slips away through a hole in the wall, and multiple players being controlled, however, means that Team Peps have no recourse against Passuo, just running it down here on the Emma. Great aggression.
Yeah, wonderful psionic seduction, just catching everyone from the side of Peps, silencing them so we don't see a single ultimate. Larry also getting caught in the crossfire means that no eternal bond to keep everyone alive until that effect had ended. Peps should be able to, off of the teleport play coming in through from Leaf, come through with an overtime contest before B, but oh no, Leaf falls through the cracks, and the Strange is not with the team currently.
Yeah, a little bit of portal-on-portal action right there. Complicates matters when it comes to this recontest, but it seems like Team Peps, they didn't need any help from their Doctor Strange apart from the initial commute. Moving in through here, Sentient seized, damage being done. Invisible Boundaries drawn on up to keep everyone defended. And now moving out of a cover, you've got to try and deal with the final judgment of Damon. However, the consequences of this is going to be the hardest. Has a free final judgment moving forward. The survivability onion that has been erected in front of Hardest is so difficult to break through.
Yeah, Hardest had hard appeal coming on through from the side of Team Peps. Nocta at least will get to use the Mega Hurricane later on without worrying about it being shut down either by a strategist ultimate or a final judgment ripping down his health bar. But what they are going to have to worry about is how late Lurken on that Rocket Raccoon got picked, as Team Peps are going to be able to establish themselves onto that high ground rather, focusing down Insomnia's players. Storm going to have to go all the way around that right side, as unfortunately for the Storm, it's very easy to hit her hitbox, as you do not really get to obscure it even with the strafe. Hardest slowing things down with the Punisher turret, ripping through the terrain, denying a lot of that cover that Insomnia are looking, but they are getting closer and closer, and that psionic seduction is becoming riskier and riskier for Peps to deal with.
All the isolation though. Damon's been left behind, and they're all going to try and run in on him. The disengagement is strong though, using the zip line to get that additional damage done. Omega Hurricane into it back. Do you want to commit this when you know that there's going to be the Eternal Bond on the other way? Yet Nox is just going to instantly disengage off the back. The Eye of Agamotto only gets Passuo on the other side. So much more from Forever. Both Hardest and Aura Stealer instantly just discorporated by the Dark Maelstrom released from the Sorcerer Supreme. The Dark Arts serve Insomnia well. This is what you start to see when you don't sleep for 70 hours.
The Cosmic Yawn Amplifier as well coming on through from Lurken heals everybody up and also boosts up the damage done that Forever can find as follow-up from the Diavago mode and off the back of those two ultimates. Insomnia will be able to pick up B and start brawling it out for control of the first passage into C. Out comes the final judgment from Damon. It's going to be Beetle just pushing through all of these crit walls, trying to give the team the ability to disengage, but it is not to be. Damon is ripping through them faster than they're being built, and Insomnia capitalize, collapsing onto the running away members of Peps who can't scramble for cover in time.
Oh, fish in a barrel or Peps in a cave, either way, the end's the same, Mox.
And now, Peps, they do have a wombo combo. They can come back from this. They've got the Strangling Prison into the final judgment coming on through from Hardest. Relaxing Night and Passivo can potentially try and shut this down if the EMEA can find the silence onto the Punisher or the group before the CC immunity of that ultimate comes on through. And Insomnia know that they have to start the fight first.
That's why Passivo is making their move first on the other side. Yet another Sonic Seduction. Instantly brought out is the Strangling Prison. Held in place, Relaxing Nights. They barely even know what happened to them. All they had were thoughts of pretty Emma Frost. They didn't know that their brain pan was being fried by hot lead. Knockouts delivered, and Team Peps sit defensively in a fantastic position.
Larry has Eternal Bond to try and make sure that everyone survives the Mega Hurricane coming through from Nocta. But if you can bleed it out from the side of Team Peps, they'll be down a Strategist ultimate to try and deal with the final judgment, and Insomnia will be able to just avoid that poke phase entirely by potentially teleporting directly either onto the objective or to the high ground itself. No, it's going to be across the ways. We have a joust between two Punisher turrets.
Oh, big push there. And it manages to get blocked by the Symbiotic Bridge as well into the back. However, the Omega Hurricane's doing some substantial damage. Feeling a little bit vulnerable in the midst of all of this, though. Out comes the Kraken Impact. We've seen Hardest do big things with this, but can Leaf match the energy that their duelist partner has brought before? For now, it seems like Damon is well and truly in control. It's a full damage beam from DRP, and he's DRPing his enemies, dropping them down. Passivo managed to take out their counterpart. Only Hardest remains with half their HP. Oh, it's gone awry. The Scourge Grenade for a quick mutiny on the point, and those who come to contest get grabbed up by Passivo, beat down by Diamond Fists, and it's a hard end, a hard fate for Team Peps. Drawing up Aura Stealer's ultimate here. The invisible boundary will sustain Team Peps to keep this one contested, but DRP's had to move over on to the Venom. It's not what they wanted, and you certainly don't want to be going up against Passivo over here, who's channeling the Psionic Seduction. It temporarily grabs Larry. Leaf grabs Doctor on the other side. Relaxing Nice tore out of their stealth, the invisibility not to be heard at the moment, and even with the healing of Jeff, they do not have the sustainability. Insomnia complete.
Yeah, Peps are able to go for the stagger picks, but there's no win condition in sight, at least not within the time limit that they have. It feels like potentially they start gaining some of that traction, especially when Leaf is able to find that immediate opening pick with the Psylocke dash through into Insomnia's back line. But unfortunately, the Dance of the Butterflies was not built in time, and Insomnia will be able to push through the entirety of Symbiotic Surface, though with a significant hit in terms of time bank.
Oh, the time bank. Yeah, it's not looking amazing. But completion to completion, and we have seen holds on every single part of a Symbiotic Surface map. Some would say that it's a little bit defensively favored. Some might say that's cope. Damon walking away with a vast majority of the final blows, 12 right now.
Yeah, I mean, the final judgment was instrumental. Nocta, despite not getting the picks with Omega Hurricane, did what was needed to be done, and that was burning Larry out of usage of Eternal Bond, so that Damon, with the final judgment, was that burst powerhouse that Insomnia needed, so they could get multiple players from Peps dismantled, and they didn't have to worry about the closeness, the proximity of the defender's respawn on C, allowing for a much easier regroup in comparison to the attacker side, who feels like it's such a marathon of a walk away from that point when we hit towards the finish line. As Insomnia going to be on the defense, and that's an immediate portal off of the map into DRP. Someone's been watching Boga streams.
Okay, a little bit silly. My prime Boga player forever.
Team Peps now going to be waiting. It does eat into the numbers that they have to be able to try and contest this high ground hold coming on through. Nocta as well on that storm. Stacks with the team has to worry about the map control that Leaf is going to be able to gain off of the back of it, because who on Insomnia's side deals with the Psylocke? Well, they don't have to worry about Hardest because Hardest is gone.
Oh yeah, Hardest nowhere to be seen. Damon with the damage boost permanently on them from Nocta, just flying around them like a fairy, a companion in many cases, just making sure that Damon is always a real nuisance to deal with in these duels.
Yeah, forever anchoring too, just being the bouncer that stops Peps from bypassing Insomnia's forces and going directly to point, which would force the defenders to give up that high ground. Leaf has finally been able to find an angle to flank and put pressure onto the storm. Is looking for that hit to time it with Beetle.
Oh, forever isolated. Needs to be taken down, takes to the skies instead, but Hardest with the shotgun out of range, manages to connect the headshot that's needed. Should be a BRB, bringing them back. The battle recall beacon, too much to deal with. Now it's going to be Punisher versus Punisher, but guess what? One of us has a damage boost. Or why not make it two? The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier just makes it too much to bear.
And now Insomnia can potentially punish the fact that Peps kicked off that fight with an aggressive Eternal Bond into the space controlled by Insomnia. Free Omega Hurricane. No Psionic Seduction, no Eternal Bond, not even a Final Judgment or a Dance of the Butterflies to burn that Storm ultimate immediately.
Omega Hurricane on the docket once again, and yeah, without a defensive ultimate to try and answer this one, it could be a touch more ruinous than we used to seeing. Nocta whips up a wind, and the winds are blowing the way of Insomnia right now. Team Peps are just having to run against it, and it makes it all the more difficult. Oh, he's still got Beetle in the back line, but I think he's going to be fairly safe. You don't want to commit the resources.
Yeah, what you have to worry about is committing resources to deal with Leaf's Dance of the Butterflies. No strategist ultimate on the side of Insomnia. And they will have that BOB potentially up, but then Lurkin might be down that cooldown if the Psylocke is able to flank around and find it. Leaf is going all the way around this right side. They know that there's a window of opportunity where Insomnia don't have the means of healing through this ultimate. They're going to have to stack through it instead, and that puts them directly at Peps' mercy.
Forever grabbed, stunned out of their ultimates, so we still have 50%. Leaf gets two. The Dance of the Butterflies. Let me show you the dance by People Les Français. And well, the dance certainly is a romantic one, from the City of Love to the City of Lights to Lights Out for Insomnia. Team Peps grab the point, the first point.
This is going to have snowball momentum potentially too. Final Judgment as well, Psionic Seduction in hand for the attacker side. It took them a little bit of time to unlock A, and it wasn't a full wipe either, so Insomnia bypassing that recontest, actually prioritizing the high ground hold now to have a better fight on B as an opener.
Damon rolling forward. Still has the damage boost coming through from the Storm. Doesn't need the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier just yet, but Lurkin's still going to be working on it. Beetle can't stand up to the damage. Leaf's going to be the next one to fall on down. Even with the Eternal Bond, Team Peps just don't have the survivability. They don't have the meat. They don't have the biomass to stand up to what Insomnia are bringing.
They don't have the Psylocke either. Leaf has swapped up a bit onto the Winter Soldier, trying to find these hook openings to give Peps a road of entry that they're just being denied time and time again by Insomnia with the better poke angles. One-sided damage boost, both with the Storm and the Rocket. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is going to be that. Eternal Bond got invested in the fight prior, so Nocta with the drive-by is just going to try and force out the Infest boundary, but that in turn allows Hardest to come through with the Final Judgment. The Storm gets picked, gets brought back by the BRB, and Insomnia with the disengage were able to keep that place intact. The Eye of Agamotto comes on through. The Force Physics isn't able to knock the Strange back far enough. He collides with a corner. Instead, the AoE still connects, and Peps still fall.
I mean, a big read there from Forever. I think they got kicked in by DRP, and they're like, well, they can't really push me that far away because I'm up against the wall. Just drops the Eye of Agamotto.
Huge Strange ultimate coming on through from Insomnia. Damon as well is going to have a Final Judgment. There's no strategist ultimate on the other side. Leaf is going to have the Kraken impact, but can Peps manage to find the damage to punch through Insomnia's Invis boundary to actually find the picks with it?
Invisible boundary could be drawn up at any time. Oh, Oh my goodness, Leaf, it's a massive one with the Carling debuff off the back of that. However, there is still resurrections available. There's a reset. Leaf, he's making it happen. He's finding the Carls. He's turning it into an absolute menace. What is this guy, Marvin Rivals? Absolutely madness.
That's insane. He found the connection onto Relaxing Nights before the 7 seconds reset came on through, and because the invis got picked, Boundary fell prematurely, and he still had the resets available. It's going to be a teleport play coming in through from Insomnia. They're going to be able to drop down off of the high ground with the Psionic Seduction in hand, and there it is. But Team Peps with the shield are going to try and hold that position. DOP answering back with a seduction of their own.
Beetle shield is broken. Nocta traded for Biddle in this case, but there should be a quick resurrection coming on through from a BRB. DRP needs to be dealt with back here. It's just going to be a full disengage for the moment coming through from Insomnia. They choose greener pastures elsewhere, but Forever was left alone to try and babysit the cars. Moving on in with a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but no one's searching a point. Even with the investment, it's an uncharacteristic fumble from Insomnia. They're asleep at the wheel.
Oh no, Damon at least is coming through with the picks. So Team Peps are going to be lacking a little bit of snowball potential, but they're still finding the better value in these fights. The payload is not going to get stalled out or slowed down. Insomnia are going to be down the strange teleport recontest angle as well, as Peps are barreling towards being able to pick their way through. See, 1 minute on the clock left, and someone just need one fight win, but it's going to be so hard for them to be able to punch through so many of the strategist support ultimates that Peps have at their side.
So much sustainability, and Damon's going to test it. Final Judgment comes on out, and it's going to be the Kraken impact. Turn it around, you get underneath the health threshold, and things certainly get a lot more difficult. Oh, Forever didn't get anything off the Eye of Agamotto. Instantly grabbed on their way down to Terra Firma and slammed into the cold, hard, symbiotic surface of Clintar. Leaf now just trying to follow up on all of these targets that are readily offered by DRP. Multiple players held in place. The underground here, the strategists just huddle together for warmth, cross healing as best they can. The Guardian shield manages to sustain them. All of the cooldowns were used. Such a bad result for Nocta.
That's so unfortunate. Lurkin is going to have the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Insomnia trying to wrangle together any form of fight that they can. Eye of Agamotto into Dance of the Butterflies comes on through from Hardest, cementing Peps' hold. They burst through the Rocket Amplifier. And Aura Stealer with the later Invis Boundary have all of the sustainability. This is going to be a full push for Peps, but is it going to be an overtime, as it's just the Wolverine to be dispatched? And no, Peps do manage to push through with a measly 3 seconds on the timer.
Team Peps and having second maps that are absolute barn burners. Name a more iconic duo. Crazy stuff thus far from Team Peps, just about winning out when it comes to the time bank, but both of these teams have certainly shown their stuff on their offenses. Just ideally identifying the fights they had to take. I think Insomnia, maybe there was a world where they could have held it on second if they hadn't, you know, not stayed in the cart for various reasons. But Team Peps are scary. Like, you can't move towards a target you're frightened by voluntarily. It's in the debuff text.
What I do worry about now is that Leaf has found his footing. He's been able to land on this Winter Soldier pick, and they've identified that this is one of the stronger ones. I'm sure we'll see it on the attack, but this time around, ooh, that's the bait. No, there we go. Hardest is going to be going onto the Winter Soldier instead, so they do put significant merit into having this particular hero in play, and especially off of the back of having CC immunity when you're going for your resets off of those Kraken impacts. That's the reason that they were able to find the value even through the Eye of Agamotto that Forever 774 was trying to set up. And unfortunately, it was not enough to shut the Winter Soldier down, and that is going to be the name of the game for Insomnia, as Nocta is actually off of the Storm onto this Hawkeye. The question is it going to be sticking around, or is it just to try and find an opening pick in case Peps try and just shut this portal down before it can start?
Oh, maybe they try and get one onto Beetle here while he's channeling. Try and grab him. There it is. Beetle unaware at the moment. We're still channeling. Maybe we're trying to do some kind of portal prank, and they still walk through. Like, they saw him just holding the channel, and they were like, you know what? Nah, I'd win. In a fight with gravity, only Newton wins, Moxie.
That's 30 seconds left now, by the way.
Yeah.
So Insomnia, since it was one-sided, no ultimates charged up, going to have to put Nocta onto the Adam Warlock so that they have the soul bond to imitate a defensive ultimate coming through.
Yeah. I mean, it's cosplay. It's okay cosplay, but it's perhaps not ideal. Damon already pops the E. Needs the brutal rage to try and keep them sustained as they roll into the midst of all of this. Kicked into the wall. Almost has already lost the passive, but just about gets out by the skin of their teeth. There's an all-out brawl right now as Nocta's been forced to resurrect themselves. And Beta went a little bit too far. Beyond the pale, unable to be resurrected as they do not have a battle recall beacon on their side. Forever continues to build up the charge on that beam towards the end of the fight in the nadir of the round. That's when the Emmas are at their most brutal and their most dangerous. The up is gone super deep though. Needs to rest of the strategists to move on up in order to support this position. Forever punches them on the way up, but guess what? Already there's an ultimate available coming through from Leaf, unable to really convert upon it. Damon goes for the instant last stand to shut down Hardest, making sure that there's no chance for resets. A Feral Leap could be everything, unable to get a connection though, and the soul bond is once again alive and well for Insomnia. The damage is shared out, the pain is democratized, and the pain, those are going to transmit it onto Team Peps as it's just mind control after mind control coming out from Sonic Seduction.
Nocta's got the Comic Revival too. Peps are on the Desperation picks. DRP on the Venom to be able to keep this point in contest as we head into overtime. Comic Revival is going to be much harder to be able to set up though, as Peps do have the means of tracing down where this Adam Warlock's ultimate is going to be invested. But Insomnia have been able to pick up one tick, potentially two. Passy will even going out a little bit further into the beginning reaches of B to scout out and see whether or not Peps are going to give it entirely or prioritize having a better position, having that high ground angle, the hardest already developed as the payload slowly but surely moves into vantage view.
Any progress is good progress at this point. They've likely already overdone their estimations by capturing this first point is in its entirety in what was a 30-second push. DRP just doing their best to be evasive for now. Go into the back line with a cellular corrosion, ready for the feast of the abyss. Tries to eat up the invisible woman, but they're protected by the soul bond for now. A secondary dive potentially on the cards here for DRP towards the back. Everyone's in danger at the hands of the Wolverine. The rage is built on up, and world's angriest man just manages to carve through Diamond with claws alone, and hardest all they can do is float down gracefully onto the point.
Insomnia are on a 2-fight streak. They've got 2 strategist ultimates, 3 strategist ultimates, with the Invis Boundary, the Comic Revival, and the Cosmic Ion Amplifier all going to be in the mix. Lurkin's also going to be able to have that PFE station on cooldown yet again, as Beetle now swaps over to the Strange, potentially looking to find an isolated player, but no, they're going to hold on to that portal play just a little bit longer. Everyone takes the elevator instead, and they scout out where the Atom could potentially have wanted to be removed from the fight, setting up the Comic Revival. He's going to be vulnerable. The cocoon is there, but now that he's out of the fight, so too is the prospect of the bond, and this is where Peps decide to invest.
Oh, both the duelists have Nocta in their sights. The Comic Revival is going to be so hard to try and make happen right now. However, the car continues to move on forward. Down to the Butterfly, just has so many targets around here that everyone's taking a share of the damage. Nocta up real close, loses their life, yes, but even with the frag coming through, the remainder of Insomnia are clutching up right here. Team Peps are collapsing under the weight of expectation. This gold nugget was nothing but fool's gold.
So much resources was piled into taking down Nocta that everyone else on the side of Insomnia got a free pass in the fight, especially because Leaf intangible in the dance of the butterflies, spreading damage through all of those players, but also not anchoring onto that point, so someone else from Peps had to step up to the plate. Insomnia have gone to prospectively being full health to almost pushing all the way through C. Peps have ultimates to play around with Eternal Bond, going to be one of the big ones trying to match, which with the sustainability available for Insomnia, it's going to be a force physics opening things up. DRP, a sliver of HP, goes for the Psionic Seduction to try and shut down Damon before the last time can come through.
Oh, it's a big Eye of Agamotto coming through. The last stand, it grabs 3. However, they're right back inside the Eternal Bond in just a singular moment. From downtown, Hardest is throwing a strong. Crows is going to use them to focus down the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, so no more overhealth, no more additional damage. But Damon's already got pay dirt for what he's already been able to grab. Even so, stunned in place for Terror Cape gives multiple members an affliction of vulnerability to damage. But Insomnia continue to clutch up, and Nocta, unable to resurrect themselves, is going to have to come back fast.
Big pick from Hardest, potentially the thing that allows Peps a comeback in this fight. Around the back he goes. Soul Drainer comes into view, but what a play from Passio! He read the Hellas flank, and he manages to peel for his players.
Coming back through. Damon desperately wants to try and find a mind-controlled target. Both Aura and Leaf are channeling their ultimates. For the strategists, they just stick together. They huddle up for warmth and for protection, and Leaf is grabbed back in by the Sonic Surge. They weren't on the point! Insomnia get the full completion! Unreal off the back of such an unreal fumble at the beginning. 30 seconds, Mox, into a full push.
Yeah, that's insane. We've very rarely seen even full pushes through Symbiotic Surface with the entire time bank at your disposal.
Yeah.
But Insomnia literally just dangle Nocta as a flashy distraction for Peps to bat around. And in the meantime, everyone's playing Chase the Adam Warlock down to the theme of Benny Hill, and everyone else on Insomnia is just getting so much space to work with. The only thing, if there had been even a smidgen of additional damage coming on through from that Dance of the Butterflies onto Lurkin and Relaxing Nights, both of those strategists topple over. But no, the attention's so split.
Get ready.
But Nocta Flashbang goes crazy, man. It just looks so bright in their skin. The perfect human. Damon, by the way, sitting on a 64 bomb right now with 28 final hits. It's going to be sticking to... Oh, I've got to congratulate someone on their huge car engine outside. My bad. Congratulations. Obviously, a lot of our damage was done playing on the Punisher, but it seems like Damon's kind of got their bread buttered now, playing on the Wolverine and really trying to make sure that when Beetle goes aggressive to capitalize on Team Peps' poke, that he gets punished for that.
Yeah, this Wolverine has been a problem for Peps to have to deal with. They're having to split so many of their resources, tracking down the Warlock. It's meaning that they're behind those resources in being able to dispatch towards the Logan. As Hardest on the Psylocke is going to go all the way around to the left side. Peps know the task ahead of them. They need to pick up A in the first fight, and they're going to go directly to the point, forcing Insomnia in having to drop from the high ground. But Insomnia have the one-sided Adam. Out comes the Soul Bomb. There's the aggression from the defense, and Peps have nothing to stand up to it.
It's just an all-out bar brawl, and in the end, Lurkin's going to be the victim of that one. Left behind in the midst of all of this, the Captain America well on top of a Psylocke. A couple of crossbow bolts were reflected, but Hardest had enough meat on the bones in order to keep on going with this one. Resurrections probably have come through in the form of the BRB, but you need more than a BRB to get through this complete team-wipe. Clinical execution from Peps.
Yeah, Lurkin unfortunately was one of the first players to go down on the side of Insomnia, so no BRB getting to be invested there. The good news for Lurkin is that if the rocket goes down to the respawn, it automatically refreshes your BRB cooldown, so it is a genuine tactic for your rocket to get taken out by the other team to have that reset rather than have to wait for the timer. As Peps still going to be counting the time. Overtime has begun. They have to continue to have a presence on this payload, and Insomnia with the Wolverine, with the Emma, with the Captain America have so many heroes at their disposal to just reroute that attention and take advantage of a static position.
Damon, Adamantium Claws and a Dream could push people out of the Eternal Bond, but instead Leaf just floats lackadaisically above, waits for the buffs to expire, and then lands down painfully upon the heads of their enemies. It's reset after reset, and Leaf, well, Marvin Rivals has returned in the exact same place.
Yeah, Leaf looking a little bit like a full Leaf Clover right now with the in that he's given Peps. That Kraken impact was absolutely huge. It did come off of the back of sustainability afforded by the Eternal Bond coming on through from Larry, and Insomnia slowly but surely burning through Peps' ultimate at their disposal. They just need to win one singular fight. They're banking all 6 of their ultimates to do it. Peps have to win a fight now. They have to find a pick before those ultimates can come through.
Overwhelming force for Dance of a Butterfly. flight opens it up. Soul Bond and Invisible Boundary at the same time. Maybe an overcommitment from Insomnia, but they do have all that they need and a touch more on top of that. Mind control out of the last stand, but the damage was already done to Hardest, and you better believe that next up on the dock it's going to be Leaf. No surprises, no resurrections, no turnarounds this time. Team Peps have Symbiotic Surface stolen from under them.
1-1. We go to map number 3. After an absolute insane turnaround coming through from Insomnia, a performance we've hardly ever seen the likes of. 30 seconds. They had a minute coming in to attack that second round. They fell for the portal play shenanigans. They had to wait for the respawn, and they had 30 seconds to make something work. They went with the Adam Warlock pick. They had the Soul Bond immediately at the beginning. They also had the damage that Nocta would be able to dispatch on that strategist as well. And you can see the statistics, how much that Adam was able to help. 38,525 damage done from the side of Nocta. But look at Damon, 69 picks coming through from the Wolverine. 62,578 damage done total. That Wolverine was a turning point, and Peps were just not able to get past the page.
69-13, call that one a nice performance. Larry and Aura still are on the other side, dropping 79, by the way. 79k healing on the Cloak and Dagger, but honestly, Insomnia, just so many clutch moments. I thought they might well be kicking themselves if they lose this series to like a C9 on second. That would have been absolutely ruinous, disastrous even. But this is a team that's got some seasoned competitors on it. They are not going to break under the pressure of maybe a misplay here or there. They know that they have the talent to bring it back, and well, hitting 6 points on Symbiotic Surface shows just that.
Yeah, and the macro as well, like the game sense for them to understand that because of how far they were able to push on their own overtime, they could just pressure Peps into having to part with ultimates, because if Peps lose a fight, they're done with the map. They had to commit ultimates to be able to keep the fight going, so Insomnia are more than happy of just taking fight after fight dry, of slowly removing all of the resources from Peps' side, banking up 6. They wait for all 6 of their ultimates, and then everyone, essentially not all at the same time, but in very quick tandem, use their ultimates to just shut down Peps entirely.
All right, all the teams have lost to a triple strategist ban now. Let's have a second look at that rocket character, shall we? Turns out Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, not that bad. What a miraculous pick, by the way, there. Onto Relaxing Nights. From downtown, I believe hits a headshot to get them under the culling threshold.
Through the invis boundary, too.
Yeah, I think they may have got pushed out of it by, like, the EMEA or something? Because it was visible, she must have been just pushed outside of it. And then, at a moment's notice, hitting the headshot. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was an absolute insane play coming on through, but I mean, Insomnia looking really, really crazy good too. Like, it takes a lot of focus for teams to be able to win a fight in overtime, and then you have to stack multiple of those. Here you can see just them bleeding Leaf of the Kraken Impact, Larry of the Eternal Bond. All the while, Insomnia didn't use a single ultimate in that engagement because they're preparing for this very moment. It doesn't matter if they give Peps B because it's an overtime push. They're not going to get more time added to the clock. Insomnia, for them, it's just a matter of winning one specific fight. That's all they need, just one, before that cart can hit the finish line. And that's exactly what they do.
It's good understanding of the win cons, good macro game understanding. That's what we're looking for from these teams from the open qualifiers, to have those kind of higher level concepts to really convert into wins. And right now, Insomnia are bringing it to Team Peps, who have so much in terms of like pedigree from competition. I've cast a bunch of the guys on Team Peps before in other titles, getting to like the top of their game. So I expect excellence from Team Peps. You know, they're an augur. I expect excellence. Insomnia, new on the radar, bringing it to Team Peps like this has been an absolute joy to behold. Only one team can win though, Moxie, and we're going to find out who after this break. You've been a very good chat and you've earned yourself a map 3, as have I and Moxie. Team Peps vs Insomnia is going all the way.
Yeah, and I mean, we did not really expect that, especially given the time bank that Insomnia had access to. 30 seconds. I'm gonna keep saying it until I can actually believe that it occurred. 30 seconds. They're able to just swap up the composition. We see the Adam Warlock come out. We see Demon go over to that Wolverine, and it's like a different team comes to play entirely. They do such a good job of being able to find the picks necessary. The ultimate economy control is amazing. Nocta playing on the Adam Warlock, not for the comic revival in that first fight where we see everyone just fighting on the point itself, but on the sidelines, so that he's just putting in pressure with the primary, chipping slowly through Peps' forces, trying to force a lot of their attention to divert to the Adam's direction, which would then free up things like the Wolverine to find more value. A really good seasoned macro game sense coming on through from this team. Unfortunately for them though, since Peps lost Symbiotic Surface, they are the ones that get to take us to a map of choice for round number 3, and it is no surprise at all that Spider Islands is going to be the map that they take us to, the map that they are most famously known for having their full holds over.
Team Peps actually the first team ever to take a map off of Virtus Pro, winning out on Spider Islands during the Marvel Rivals Invitational. It was almost a shock to the world, as up until then they had been invincible. Up until today they'd been indestructible. Anything can happen. Team Peps going back to their stomping ground, going to be banning out the Punisher this time. They've had enough of this. No more of that.
Yeah, Punisher has been removed. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Insomnia are going to target out the Winter Soldier, a potential Punisher of their own, but it looks like they want to make a play for a one-sided Loki pick to get navigated through. No, they thought about it, but they instead prioritized the Wolverine, and I would agree with this because Demon's Wolverine has been instrumental in shutting Peps down, and especially if Peps want to try and make a play for a Groot over here, or even potentially a Captain America, that Wolverine in the mix is going to give that Vanguard serious pause for thought on whether or not it's worth committing into a fight.
Wonder if you protect Punisher for yourself here as well, or if maybe you protect the Captain America. There's a world where perhaps Beetle could still receive that target ban. We saw Beetle having to play the Doctor Strange shield, was getting a lot of value out of those Eyes of Agamotto, but was equally vulnerable to Damon going for a bully. Decision time for Team Peps, and they are going to go for the Punisher. This is going to be very helpful for their attempted spawn holds, being able to set up on a turret elsewhere and suppress the enemy. For Team Peps, are they going to go for Captain America ban is the question.
I mean, if you're Insomnia though, do you read into Peps wanting to go for a spawn hold and remove one of the Vanguards?
Yeah, you could also, if you drop Cloak and Dagger, yeah.
No Loki, no Cloak and Dagger, so a triple strategist lineup is definitely going to be feeling a absence of survivability in terms of that strategist lineup, as it looks like Insomnia actually are going to be opting for Nocta to go over to the Ultron. So still triple strategist, but instead of the Atom, we're going to be seeing the Ultron come on through, trying to utilize that prior position that's afforded to the defense, as well as all of the potential rooftops to play around. But no, it's over to the Atom we go instead. There's a lot of debate coming on through on the side of Insomnia. You can tell that this team are trying to figure out the best possible approach into Peps, because Peps on Spider Island is going to be a team that's very challenging to take down.
Consider this, Mox. 4 fights on first point for Peps. Spawn point, TP back, resurrection, and then the final fight. Could be good. Could be good.
Yeah,
Peps changed how the game was played defensively.
You throw in a rocket BRB over the
now you're cooking. Of course, they're not going to be defending first. They're going to be attacking first.
We're going to have to wait to see whether or not Peps are going to pull out the spawn hold, as it's going to be Insomnia on the defense with the triple strategist lineup coming on through. Still duo Vanguards though, Forever and Passio, Groot and Emma, which is very good news for Damon that there's no Wolverine on the other side instead.
Damon can actually get quite a bit of value here from like non-committal, menacingly walking at the Captain America, forcing him out of these melee points where he really wants to be. Yeah, you can see it. The second that you hear that Wolverine making a move, like, okay, I'm out of here, Buster. Forever already taken down, sentient seized and crushed in the hands of Emma Frost. Not the ideal grab here. It's however going to get out using that rocket jump pack. Oh, nifty little tech there from Damon rather than using it for the extended kidnap. Am I seeing the Rocket Groot team up in real time?
Yes, they are. They're utilizing the Rocket Groot team up to get the damage reduction. So when Forever 774 is getting pulled in by the Force Physics, Lurkin's immediately just propelling himself onto the Groot shoulders. Try and make sure that Forever 774 lives it. You're not going to have enough damage reduction in the world, though, to live the final judgment coming on through from Hardest on this Punisher. And Insomnia are going to be pulling out that strange TP. Nocta, who fell earlier, is going to swap over to the Vanguard and place it directly onto the payload.
Yep, they're going to be pepsing on the Peps right now. Nocta's just waiting for everyone to respawn and it'll roll in as a 6. Like to get kicked by the Carbon Crush straight away. Oh, Pasiwo made his way in, managed to get on top of that Punisher, but the healing is good for now. Team Peps with that Soul Resurgence have a little bit of additional staying power as well. Don't forget the movement boost that Mantis gives over. Quite a multifaceted ultimate. What it doesn't have in healing, it makes up for in raw utility. And well, it's going to be Forever falling down. Actually, to be Carbon Crush itself, it's a bit of a rare one in the frag feed. Might even see an attempted resurrection here as Forever drags people out. Nocta speared from there as Damon rolls on out and tries to shut Leaf down.
They just don't have enough follow-up damage, though. Leaf right next to the Guardian Shield from Larry, and Damon's not able to convert it onto a pick onto the Adam Warlock. Forever 774 is going to be sticking on that Strange, but Nocta is now going to be moving over to that Hela to have a pick potential. So let's potentially find a pick before an ultimate comes on through from the side of Team Peps. Beetle, though, playing havoc, disruption forces in that backline. He's getting so much scouting information about where Insomnia have positioned themselves, and onto the Hell he goes. The Soul Drainer grabs the Captain America back, but Beetle will be able to make it back to his team, gets fully healed up, and back on top of the Hell he goes.
Oh, damage Mr. Cap is scary, bro. Into the invisible boundary, everyone's going to pile on in. Hardest soul bonded, so he's not taking too much damage off the back of this one. Simply tracking away onto the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. It's an easy target for a man with 2 miniguns, and the HP can't sustain it for long. Great push coming through. Still DRP and Aura Stealer are going to be victims of that one. Favorite children chosen by Larry, and Hardest was certainly among them as this fight starts to degenerate. A quick sleep sent the way of the Rocket Raccoon, and that's easily chased on down by Beetle, slamming down from the skies with his Sentinel strikes. Oh, Nocta though. Nocta's feeling a little bit spicy. Oh, through the hole in the ceiling. Unreal play. DRP going to be able to come off most of the reinforcements here coming through from Insomnia. We'll be able to return the Punisher to the midst of this fight. Has to worry though about Damon, who's been a little bit naughty on the other side.
Oh, they've been able to block off one of the approaches coming through from Insomnia, but there's the last stand. Damon doesn't manage to find the damage to convert, though. It's a huge Mantis heal coming on out from Aura Sealer that keeps everybody alive through that focus fire of the Wolverine. And Insomnia, unfortunately, not going to be able to hold on for A. Peps, just before we hit into overtime, will be able to take control of the payload and move into the opening of B, starting to break away all of this terrain to just deny some of the angles, some of the ledges that Nocta can establish themselves on. And they're already looking for an early pick. Hold on a minute. Someone's a little bit too far forward. Relaxing Knight was caught without any of their teammates and goes down immediately.
And even the attempted punish from Damon goes absolutely nowhere. Beetle simply walks away. Has the superpower of strong legs, I'd know.
Nocta's onto the Hawkeye. This is a hero that we haven't got to see all that often. He does have that one-shot potential. There's no Psylocke in play to be able to shut him down either, and having that one-shot might potentially stop Team Peps from getting as aggressive as they are, looking for these angles, looking for these forward positions, but they're going to be plenty aggressive, emboldened by the final judgment and the soul bond that's laid over. Hardest damage boost alike as well from the Mantis inspiration, and it's just a zipline directly into Insomnia's entire team.
Pasiwo demands attention heading into the back. Wants that Adam Warlock. Leaf is ready to resurrect at a moment's notice if need be. Might be able to resurrect themselves first of all, though, as both of their vanguards could fall here. Could end up being a very high value karmic revival. Beetle just resets off the edge as Team Peps call it.
Yeah, Nocta manages to pick DRP as well before the Emma can hit that Psionic Seduction. Peps are going to have win conditions here. They've got that Psionic Seduction. They've got Strategist Ultimate. What they don't have is an intact Adam Warlock's Cranium. Leaf gets picked. Nocta with the pick value. That insta burst of removing one of these players without an ultimate on the table is giving Peps cause for concern of how they rotate into these fights. The AVS has to get invested. The Psionic Seduction to close up the distance and try and find the silence. The Taunt onto the Hawkeye depletes the entire duration of the ultimate almost.
Temporarily mind controlled. Counter invisible boundary. Leaf gets one step through the midst of all of this, but too far into the invisible boundary. Elsewhere, Damon trying to get something working, but can't take out Larry, and so does not counter the strategist ultimate, was keeping the remainder of the team sustained. Forever's got to be careful on this angle. The same has to be said of Aura Steal. Off the map with you, my girl. As they're just sent into the briny depths below. They're becoming koi food right now, but the same is going to be said of Forever as they're gunned down by Hardest.
Forever was able to stall out that objective though. Insomnia have another fight. Team Peps having to play up aggressively to diminish the space available to Nocta. You've got to keep your eye on Damon though. Where's this Wolverine? He gets spotted out. The Punisher doing a very good job of reading out the position. And Damon now has to look for a different opening.
Any opening will do. Moving in towards that diamond form ever. The second that she's not CC immune, she's going to be a primary target. Hardest wants to be the one to just finish this off before it even starts with the final judgment. The damage is so much. Needs to focus in on the Cosmic Yarn amplifier. And well, it's amplified well and truly towards the end. DRP falls on down. Resurrection's coming through from Leaf. The Hunter's Sight is going to make hunting damage strategy just real easy, but they're going to have second lives gifted over by the Adam Warlock. And they cannot focus down their fire onto a singular healer in the midst of all of this. And now Beetle has access to the backline. Basically unlimited health inside of all of this. DRP going to mind control everyone away from the car, making it easy peasy for Team Peps to cap.
Leaf is going to come back in just in case with that strange teleport. Soul Resurgence comes on through from Aura Sealer, cementing Peps' sustainability. Insomnia, though, still have a potential. The last time from Demon laid over the Psionic Seduction coming on through from Forever 774. Insomnia are trying to outstubborn Team Peps on the edges of B, and it's not working.
It's a big investment to lose. But Insomnia, they thought they had a spark in their eye, a fire in their heart. Team Peps quick to extinguish that, though, as we head to third.
The Hawkeye is actually going to be swapped out yet again, replaced for Nocta coming through from that Hela, has control of the window angle. Hardest already moving around that corner, getting the inspiration coming in through from Aura Sealer, contesting the space that the Hela has access to, making it so much safer for Team Peps' squishy players to start maneuvering up onto main ramp.
Damage done to the sentience of Hardest there by Forever, but it won't prove fatal. You can see that constant damage boost being delivered. Beetle, a small misstep is all that it takes, and now Hardest feels the need to pop the final judgment in response to losing the Captain America, just using the payload for cover as best they can inside the invisible boundary. Hardest can't find the targets, grabbed in by Damon, drags out the shotgun. Adjudication is given over to Damon as Lurkin even down on their Beetle. They didn't need their lucky Scarab, they made their own luck on Team Peps.
Insomnia, though, are about to hit a wealth of ultimates. Eternal Bond, Freedom Charge, Goddess of Death, Psionic Seduction, and Last Stand. You name it, Insomnia are about to have it in the back pocket. It's up for Team Peps to try and find a pick before the defenders can find an opening. Out comes Psionic Seduction, starting things off for both sides. Aura Steel is going to overlap sustainability options for Team Peps, though, and Pasawo goes down before the Captain America can ult his team to victory.
The Last Stand ready to go for Damon. Needs to find some vulnerable targets that can be controlled. DRP falling low, but you're able to leave the quick clicks from the Adam Warlock and make it happen. In towards the back, DRP's already down. Maybe you can grab a strategist off the back of this one. And in comes the resurrections from Leaf. So many have been returned to the land of the living. Oh, the hellish kingdom is going to be underpopulated for a moment longer here. As wrapping around the back, the Mantis trying to make inroads off a flank. Damon catches it as it goes, and Team Peps are just shy of completing, but a very winnable distance is gained.
a very winnable distance when given the context of how good Peps' holds have been on convoy maps, not convergence, because now they're going to be able to go for the spawn hold strategy. Now we're going to get to see the free fight defense come through from the side of Peps. The question is, can Insomnia break it? They were able to break through the entirety of Symbiotic Surface with 30 seconds in the pocket off of the back of an Adam Warlock and a Wolverine. Looks like they're going to be trying to do the exact same thing. Forever 774 actually going to be starting things off on the Squirrel Girl in anticipation of the amount of Vanguards that they're about to face down.
Oh, the Squirrel Girl. It's the go-to in many cases. We saw it yesterday in Peps' match from Yoinkanda as an attempt to try and break through the absolute mess that was in front of them. And it seems like Leaf might well be sticking with this Adam Warlock. So we might actually see the 4-fight first point defense if you can get a full resurrection off.
The 5, as that's Aura Sealer on the Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, so it is. Well, no need to reset too early then.
There is going to be a lot of resets coming on for this. Also going to be, well, danger. The floor is very much not quite lava, but littered with spider mines right now. And David just decides to go directly over the top of them. We're flying Air Wolverine style.
Oh, there goes Hardest. I'm not sure if the environmental drop can be resurrected. Indeed, it will be. The BRB returns Hardest, but hey, that's a 45-second cooldown already burned.
I love Forever 774 picking the storm as well, because you just fly over the top of the spider nests. Coming through from DRP, you've still got that one-sided damage boost as well to better embolden the Onk bounces coming on through from Pasowo, and all of the picks are coming through from Insomnia's end.
Who needs a Vanguard? We don't tussle with those over here. DRP is going to be easily carved through, I imagine. So many heals are being poured on into them, but the health pool isn't big enough. You need a more resilient spider mech here. And you can see that Beetle's already making the play for the TP of a patented Peps recontest.
True, but is it going to be followed up immediately by a Hunt of Khonshu? Yes, it is! Passivo drops the Onks directly over what Team Peps teleport into.
Yeah, that means Beetle is already gone. Question is, can Leaf get the resurrection in time? Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is right down. You better believe once that invisible boundary is done, the Storm is going to strike where she is needed the most. And you're not too worried about burning so much of your ult economy here if you're Insomnia, because of course you're going to swap to a Vanguard later on once Team Peps' nonsense is over.
You know what's crazy as well? Passivo's almost up to another ultimate with how stacked Peps are playing on top of each other. Plus the fact that they're on the triple Vanguard, which means there's so many inflated health pools for the Moon Knight to be able to chunk down. Lurkin is over towards the Strange. Team Peps going to be having Beetle Knight playing the Captain America since the teleport play has been removed. Hardest does have that final judgment. Leaf the comic revival, but Insomnia of the Hand of Khonshu force Team Peps to move far sooner than they would like.
The supposed backline safety is instantly destroyed, and guess what? Oh, they've resurrected too far away. Oh, it's going to be all so low. Larry might actually have just fed their team into a meat grinder here. They might get turned into glue, and they're still going to try and invest in this. Team Peps won't be throwing good money after bad. They need to turn this into another spawn hold.
They're looking for it. They're needing to hold close, but Taman is more than happy to play in the close and personal. The Soul Bond comes through, emboldening the Wolverine to continue this onslaught, keeping up the rage on the claws, and he's just going in and scratching away. Team Peps are trying to throw every single ultimate that they can at slowing Insomnia's approach down.
Larry brings up the invisible boundary. Beetle emerges from it, a hero from the darkness, moving on to his Marauders in the back. It's a nice reflect on the right click to do some significant damage to Nocta, who still has that resurrection, the karmic revival if needed, to get a little bit of additional staying power. Goodbye to Beetle, potentially falling super low. The healing is going to be good. The Soul Bond, I believe, may well have been used here by Leaf to just make sure that everyone gets that healing over time. Moving forward, so many players are going to find themselves mind controlled, and they're going to be right into the claws of Damon. Adamantium strikes true again and again, but with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, there's just so much danger coming forth from Team Peps. A quick resurrection from Noxa brings Damon and Lurkin back into the mix to try and turn this one around. So Hardest knows that it's time to bring on down the hammer. The damage is being done, the mines are being controlled, and the miniguns, they do be a feasting.
final judgment finally stops Insomnia's momentum. Team Peps are able to establish themselves the hold that they were looking for. Leaf does fall earlier in the fight, so invest that cocoon to bring themselves back in without having to walk all the way back from the respawn, as Hardest establishes themselves on that high ground. The Aegis directly in front of the Punisher turret as he starts firing away at Insomnia's approaching forces.
Oh, they're just rushing on forward here. They seem to not care about Hardest's hopes, dreams, and precision. Oh, that's a great grab outside of the invisible boundary. Exactly what Damon needed. You could not have asked for a better play from your Wolverine. Maybe if you can pin the Atom off the map, that would also help us some more. Oh, no, for last stand. Impacts the side of a pagoda. And so here's the consolation prize. Larry dragged on in. Still 100 rage to play with. And boy, when Damon goes to play, no one else is allowed in those sand pits. Just chasing around Beetle, who's doing his best to do this all day.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Peps' BRB brings back Leaf, but he gets taken out by the rocket. Coming on for Relaxing Nights finds the one needed. Comic Revival denied as an opportunity. It's going to be another fight before B gets fully picked up for Insomnia. And they don't have the ultimates to be able to play with it. Psionic Seduction comes on through first, shutting Peps down before Hardest can build up to that win condition and potentially come through the final judgment to shut everything down.
3 players grabbed a sentient as well. Damon managed to get the RP into the midst of their team. They're so far from the strategist for healing cannot be delivered. Damon might well get overwhelmed here. Another last stand towards the back. Gets Beetle slow. It's answered by the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Extra healing for everybody. Extra HP. But it does not last for long. Hardest finally gets the ultimate they've desperately been looking for, but it's not before losing out on Beetle. And now everyone can simply move away and try to avoid the incoming damage. An invisible boundary makes things a little bit more tough to try and deal with, as you do not know where the Punisher is, and it makes it all the more difficult to avoid them. DRP went so deep into the back line that there was no way of helping them. A fresh turret is erected in front of all of this, and it's going to lay down so much fire in front of a Seer, though. You don't stand a chance. Insomnia's damage is just so high, and Pasuo is getting everything and more done.
Oh, like trying to hold back the tides themselves. Perhaps not going to be able to live that B push. And now we head into C. Psionic Seduction, Comic Revival has been denied time and time again. Further side of Leaf on this Adam Warlock. Hardest goes over now, off of that Punisher, over to the Bucky. We've talked it up. We've said so many times it's been the factor that's allowed Peps to turn the tide on Spider Islands. Can it be the thing that bails the defense out of this attacking side?
They just used to try and block some of those mind-controlling rays coming in. Lurkin picked up on the other side. Damon does not have a good leap out, and so it's going to burn their passive. A great initial engagement here coming through from Team Peps. Noctis going to be knocked into the midst of the enemy team, but Ashley doesn't get the chance to do so as they're crushed up against the wall and turned into a perfect pancake.
Peps are done letting the Wolverine play. Hardest on this Winter Soldier has already almost got a Kraken impact. They're going to have to worry about the last stand. Pasuo moving onto that right side, getting a lot of information, telling his Wolverine where all of these players are going to be positioned. Out comes the Psionic Seduction, forcing Peps back further and further, and that sets up the pick onto the Bucky. Winter Soldier removed, one form of CC taken out of the mix. Peps can't stand for it. They need Hardest in this fight. Comic Revival gets invested.
Yeah, but the Comic Revival didn't actually bring that player back due to him being a victim of the BRB instead. So now Leaf's gonna fall. Hardest gonna try and chain these together up against the Soulbond. It's risky to try and revive into this one, but the trust is there from Insomnia. Finally, the culling has begun. Hardest has everything he wants and a little bit more on top of it all. Reset after reset. Pasuo ain't going nowhere. The Trooper's fist hits pay dirt, and the culling continues.
One more fight. Lurkin has the eternal bond, but Insomnia don't have the space to use it. Hardest still has recent opportunities for the Kraken impact, and Insomnia go from 20 seconds to work with to 10. They've got 2 strategist ultimates, all of the sustainability, but Peps have distance to be able to navigate away from them.
Do or die. If it's going to happen, it has to be now. DRP right next to the pit, but getting close to that Emma Frost is bloody scary when you know that she can turn it around and kick you to bits. DRP taken down. Larry exactly the same. Insomnia needs to stay on the cart at all points. You know that they're going to be continuing to stall this one out with Beetle. He can do this all day. We know. Team Peps have one last chance.
It's a race. Shut hardest down before Kraken Impact comes into the mix. There's no strategist ultimates available on the side of Insomnia. Forever 774 needs to build the Psionic Seduction. DRP needs to get shut down before they can mind control the entire team and allow Team Peps to find the win.
Big grab onto Beetle. Out comes the Psionic Seduction. How many people will be grabbed by it? Damon starts wandering over towards the back. The Soul Bond's already done its work and trying to sustain them against all of this. DRP falling super low. Percentage-based damage. Too much to bear. Should be resurrected here by the Battle Recall Beacon. Last stand towards the back. Larry has to try and deal with this one. I think a reset may well have already been grabbed here by Hardest. They're finally in their burst phase. This is where you can do the most. But Forever says absolutely not. The Forever is over. The Forever is now. The victory's on the horizon. And guess who's back? Adam Warlock, 5% away from a resurrection. He has the Karmic Revival. But Damon's right on top of him. Distracted for a moment. A quick return of a Doctor Strange. DRP's made it work. They're nowhere near the payload. And Beetle is getting it done with a charge himself. Knocks her on the edge of a resurrection. Just about gets it done. 2 players remain. Beetle continues with a Sentinel strike to be the Sentinel that Peps needed. And Leaf still in the back. Has a Karmic Revival. It's the cherry on top. Insomnia. They're starting to feel the cold embrace of the night. The eyes are starting to close. And while Nocta attempts to make the portal back happen, Hardest gets reset after reset after reset. We're in the midst of a culling. Damon gets the last stand. Oh, that's going to be one, but it's not going to be converted upon. And Larry gets that one done. DRP gets 3 stuns. 2 on a Vanguard. One's onto Relaxing Night. Gets grabbed out of this one by Forever. And it's another Psionic Seduction. It's an all-out brawl. Larry brings up their own invisible boundary. Aura Stealer almost has to see ya. And surely Insomnia are running out of charge here. It's an all-out slugfest, but Beetle in the back. He's just digging his way in with his Scarab Horn. Vasilla well out of distance to be taken on out. Insomnia, they're going to try and make it work with the Freedom Charge. They've got the extra HP. They've even got a thing here.
Eternal Bond.
All of the options in the midst of all of this. The Eternal Bond's coming up from Lurkin. Nox is coming on the magic. Oh, Leaf's down as well. Team Peps, what happened? They couldn't secure the kills when they most needed them. The frags weren't there. Insomnia, they might well do it with 2 meters remaining. They're so close to Team Peps' spawn, but Insomnia are built different.
What an overtime. What an amazing, explosive overtime. We have been treated to some historical matchups. Harry needs to take a huge breath of air.
I need a lap.
He needs like a full bottle of water after that one. Oh my goodness. Just the amount of stall that Insomnia were able to put up. Passio, by the way, MVP. There's no other way about it. The Freedom Charge being able to come on through and give everyone the sustainability to live, because Hardest gets 3 Kraken impacts in that overtime push.
Jesus.
And Passio is the reason why they were able to survive the first one. And then we get to see the Strange Teleport coming into play, the Eternal Bond that gets built up. Relaxing Night is able to keep everybody alive with the Invis boundary before that Eternal Bond comes on through. And Peps just don't have the damage, don't have the target focus to be able to remove all of these individual players on the side of Insomnia, who were doing such a good job of positioning around their strategists, of peeling for their strategists, but at the same time also hyper-focusing down Hardest, because they knew that if that Kraken impact came through when they were out of a sustainability strategist ultimate cycle, it was done. It was over.
Never say never, Mox. I just gotta say, if you're in a comp game and you're AFK and spawn thinking that it's lost, you're already a loser. you gotta be like Insomnia and just be like, nah. If I go thing and I Yancy charge my way over there, I'm just gonna get back in time and we can make this work. That was unreal. I am in awe.
Yeah.
Like that minute of gameplay, it's gonna be analysis heaven if someone manages to find a replay.
Oh yeah, I I cannot wait to look through that one. 1 minute of gameplay, 1 hour of analysis. There was so much that was going down in that fight. And Insomnia too, like the speed that they were able to break through A is the reason that they had the amount of time to work with in 2C. It's a domino impact. Demon 2 on this Wolverine. The last stands coming on through, being able to remove, reposition Peps out of their own strategist ultimates, finding pick after pick, being able to shut down. Here we can see Hardest comes on out with the Kraken impact and immediately Passalo just there with the freedom charge, making sure that no one, so many of those players got hit with that Kraken impact opening. No one goes down, no reset opportunity is given. The 7 seconds timer burns out, and we go into just an amazing 1 minute brawl of just the best, most reactive Marvel Rivals gameplay that we have seen. I genuinely thought that nothing would top Virtus.pro from having their first defeat. And then we had that overtime. And that overtime is going down in the moments of Marvel Rivals. We're going to be in next year, and we're going to be thinking back to the one time that Insomnia had a 1 minute overtime on Spider Islands on Peps' own map pick, on their comfort map pick, and they were able to come out on top. I cannot wait to interview one of these players from Insomnia, because the comms, the adrenaline that that team is going to be coming off of is going to be insane.
I wasn't even in the lobby. I'm feeling the adrenaline. That was a crazy game. Oh, you know what? I used to be jealous of the EMEA, Moxie. I used to be jealous of the EMEA. Like, I was jealous of NA, rather. In the EMEA, we kind of just had, like, Virtus.pro. Then we had, like, Burba, Patapim, and Rad. And now, we've got the NA style, baby. Anyone can beat anyone. It's a toss-up no matter where you put it. I'm real proud of Insomnia. Like, they are doing so well for such a fresh team. So let's get direct from the source. Damon on the line. How is it going? But are you shaking? I'm shaking.
I'm still jumping in my chair. It's insane overtime. Love my team.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. That overtime was absolute bonkers. I can only imagine how stressful it was as a player, because everything had to go correct. Talk us through a little bit of how it went down, because we knew that Hardest was coming up to a Kraken impact, and I'm sure that was something that the team were very wary of. And the second that the freedom charge came out of Passaway, we were like, okay, is this going to go to Peps, or is this going to go to Insomnia? How did it start sliding into your favor?
It felt like 5 stages of grief at some point. Like we were about to win at some point, and then they came back for the recontest, and with all these support ults, I hit a big wall vault, but I just threw them all into a Captain America ult, and I just didn't know. I felt like we were about to lose. We had the TP back, and then I died straight away again. I had no idea. Like, it felt like it was all over at that point. And then I came back on the thing, and I realized, like, my teams are still alive for like 3 minutes. I don't know what's going on. It just felt so winnable after that.
What made you choose the thing to go? Was it like, did you have the Yancy moves? Were you Tokyo drifting through the Spider Islands?
Well, the charge, like, you can get a lot of distance off the charge, and I couldn't really do a Wolf B hop on to get back from this point, so... And the thing is just such a good overtime hero. All the damage reduction and the cleave damage, especially, like, they're just playing on Atom comp. He's so good into Atom comp. You just get ult so quickly as well. I was playing for that.
So who is the IGL on your team as well? Because, like, the overtime coming in through, but then the target focus that the team was still able to have, where you were able to keep the really crucial health bars still full, keep guarding your strategist while also removing key players from the side of Peps. Was there someone specifically orchestrating that in the team comms, or was it literally just everyone trying to make sure that the team were able to find that win?
Yeah, it's usually, like, KP is a very strong IGL on our team. But in an overtime fight like that, I think everyone was contributing, especially, like, I wouldn't say I'm the loudest in the team, but when I play Wolverine, I'm definitely talking a lot more, and I was screaming the loudest I have playing this game. In the overtime, when I just grabbed DRP on Emma there, like, I was just screaming it for my whole team to turn around, because I knew it was winnable, and I didn't want us to give up at that point.
I mean, I think I was screaming the loudest I have as well. Okay, to roll back from Spider Islands, which was an event in itself, you guys, you've done a bit of storm merchantry today. What's the deal with the storm? Like we've seen some teams go for the Jeff Nado. You guys are just going for kind of the unassisted storm. What's our use case to Insomnia?
We played for the Storm Punisher comp. We know, like, we saw some of them playing it yesterday. They were playing Storm Punisher. We tried to ban it out so we can play it ourselves. It's very strong. Like, Punisher just got so much DPS, and you just adding on top of that, it's insane. And the Storm ult is very good at, like, baiting out support ults and stuff. So we use that as, like, our strat.
And from one crazy overtime to another, I can't believe that we're saying that a 30-second full push of Symbiotic Surface was not the wildest overtime that we saw, but give us a little bit of information, because obviously that round, that second round of Symbiotic Surface, did not open up the greatest, but then we saw the swaps come through onto the Atom and the Wolverine. Who decided to make that call to go with the composition, and why do you think that it found as much success as it did?
Yeah, I think it was KP said just to swap it in the last 30 seconds. It was a comp we were planning to play. We practiced on that map. We saw like Alcazia play this triple res Wolverine comp. It's something I thought of like a long time ago in EXO, but we never like played it well enough to actually execute it. But I've been playing a lot of Wolverine in tournament games now, and I know people would say I was the Star-Lord guy when I was on EXO, and now I'm worried I'm gonna get Wolverine banned every game.
They don't know about your Hela, man. They don't know about your Hela. We've got to wrap up soon, Damon. Any words to the audience, to the other teams, to sponsors?
Just look out for us. I think we're a bit of an underdog. Not as many people know us. Like, maybe some people remember us from EXO, the core, but picked up a couple of new players, like Relaxing and Lurkin are amazing. Like, Relaxing is Luna is... I can never beat him in a Luna 1v1. This guy is insane.
Great to hear you have so much faith in your new teammates, Damon, and you guys are going even deeper into the winners bracket now. I think you're basically guaranteed to get to playoffs off the back of this, but don't trust me on that. I stick
I think
in a dream.
Top 4 and we're into playoffs, so that's why we're so hyped about that, because we're into stage 2, I think.
Nice.
And I think we have to play Rad next, which they beat VP, and I think we played Rad on their previous roster, and even like when we were next, so I think we played them in Fight Night, and it was a very close game. We haven't scrimmed them as much recently, but I think they've improved quite a lot. So obviously they beat VP, but I think that's a game we could contend for if we play well on the day.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Damon. We're going to let you go, I don't know, lie down on the floor or something. For a
yeah, I need to go lie down. I've been sick all week.
GG's, everyone. That was Damon from Insomnia.